not being in control of your emotions is not manly.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I think there's...
It just depends on how you express
She's
them.
a little more intense about it than I am, but to
I
some
wouldn't
degree.
get, like, uncomfortable because...
If I just started crying right now.
Well, I would be uncomfortable with that. I mean, if, like, you're...
Welcome back to the Journey Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler.
I'm Abigail.
Today, we're going to be doing something a little different, something that we think will be fun. This is an agree-disagree episode.
Your life, your journey starts now.
So our producer, Adam, has come up with a series of statements that are related to relationships, which, of course, is a big part of what we do here at Journey Coaching. And he's come up with some statements, and we're going to agree or disagree with each statement and then say why. And we'll see if Abigail and I agree on everything or not. Statement number 1, all conflicts have positive takeaways. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Disagree. Why do you say that?
Because not all conflicts have positive takeaways.
Okay, give me more than that. What do you mean?
Well, it just depends on how you handle the conflict.
Sure.
You have the opportunity to have all conflicts be handled in a positive way where the outcome is positive. But if you don't do that, then it's not going to be positive.
Sure. I guess so.
It's just the way it's worded.
Oh, come on, Adam. This is all your fault. No, I'm kidding.
My bad.
All conflicts can have positive takeaways. Agree or disagree?
Okay, are we talking about fully positive takeaways, or because yes, all conflicts can have positive
Right.
takeaways, but it could have 10% positive takeaways and
Sure,
90%
yeah, it's
negative.
not. It's not
So,
like it's not the outcome of every conflict will be positive, but that you could get something positive out of.
Yeah,
even every
absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I agree. Initially I was like, man, I'm surprised that you don't agree. I think even a conflict that ends poorly can be used for our benefit. I mean, a lot of my belief for that comes in the fact that I am a Christian, and so I believe that there is a God and that he is in control and that he's good and that he has a plan for us. And so, yeah, do I think that every conflict is going to make me feel good by the end of it? Absolutely not. But that doesn't mean that they can't have positive takeaways. Even if that takeaway is something that I don't understand or like won't realize for a long time, like, you know, I might not see how that benefits me until 50 years from now, but I do think that any conflict can have a positive takeaway, in part because, like I said, I believe that God is good and absolutely will have conflict and struggling and suffering, but you know, there's no wasted suffering with God. I forget, it's in the book of Isaiah, I don't remember where, but it's like his ways are higher than our ways and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And I'm okay with that. Okay, number 2, statement 2. There's a limit to how many healthy relationships you can have.
yes.
Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Okay, let's hear it. I disagree, so.
Oh, you disagree?
I do disagree.
Oh, okay. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So
There's a limit to how many healthy relationships you can have.
I believe, and there's this quote that I really like, it is more noble to give yourself over to one individual than to strive diligently for the salvation of the masses. So like you'd have to define, okay, what is a healthy relationship? And so for me, that would be you can fully give yourself over, or fully, I guess you can give yourself over as much as you can to someone so you can truly appreciate their soul and the ground that they walk on. And
Are you speaking like romantically or just in general?
just in general.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
I'm not
making
talking
sure.
about romantically.
Yeah, sure.
No, but like I view like friendships as I can't give my time and my energy to all an unlimited amount of people. Like that's just
Sure.
not possible.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you define healthy. I wasn't saying that you're going to have a close relationship with everybody, but I could make like the way
that's a good
the
point.
way that
That's a good point.
the way that what do you call someone who's not quite an acquaintance?
Yeah.
The way that my relationship with an acquaintance is healthy is like, you know, we don't gossip about each other and we're cordial when we see each other. And maybe we even make each other's day a little bit better, but we don't feel the need to pressure each other into growing our relationship deeper if that's not going to happen anyways. So it's like,
Yeah.
I get your point. You certainly have a limit. We all have like a relational limit in the sense that it's like, I can't be best friends with 1,000 people. Like it just won't work. I can't give the time that I need to that person. Absolutely. But I do think it's like, I could have a healthy relationship with everybody that I have a relationship with, healthy is just going to look different based off of the context of that
Yeah.
relationship, if that makes sense.
That's
like,
a really good point. I actually agree. I agree with that as well.
just like, yeah, but I agree with what
Yeah.
you're saying of like, yeah, you definitely can't, yeah, you can't have 1,000 best friends. You can't give the amount of attention needed to every single person all of the time. Like, you can't, it just won't work,
Yeah.
right? Even Jesus, like, yeah, he interacted with a ton of people during his life in ministry, but he primarily interacted with 12 guys, right?
Yeah.
And then even out of those 12 guys, there's 3 of them that he interacts with even more than the other 9,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, so I think we came at the question with,
Yeah,
from
sure.
different fundamental
Yeah.
ideas, which this was conflict resolution.
This is good. Yeah, right. Good relational building here. Okay, statement 3. Men should not share their feelings if they want to be considered manly.
Anytime I look at this, the way it's worded is like confusing me. Men should not share their feelings if they want to be considered manly.
Yeah, so I think the idea is
It
like
depends on how you share it.
masculinity should be characterized by like holding in your feelings.
Okay, so
So I don't know. That's a tough one. I would say generally disagree in the sense that I don't think anyone should always hold in their feelings. Now, I do think to some degree an inability to function in life without approaching every situation completely emotionally is not necessarily like manly, but like I do think there are positive things about masculinity. There's positive things about femininity, and some of that, some of what it means to have like healthy masculinity does involve a level of I can experience my feelings, I can be open about my feelings, but I don't let them dictate or dominate my entire life.
Yeah.
And so I guess, but in terms of sharing them, I think on the whole, I'll say I disagree with the statement because I do think it actually takes incredible strength to share your feelings. It takes incredible strength to be vulnerable. I think one of the things that gets under my skin a little bit is when I'm talking to guys and it's like I want to help them grow in their faith, or I want to see them improve in an area of their life, and in order to do that they're going to have to open up, and they just like refuse to open up. I think that's less manly. Being unable to share your feelings, I think, is a negative, whether you're a man or a woman. But
yeah, I would agree with you. I do think it depends on how you share it. We have to define that sharing aspect, because if you're posting your anger outbreaks on social media and that's how you're sharing your feelings, and maybe
that's not very manly. Yeah, right.
Well, it's just not very.
It's not appropriate.
I wouldn't
in general.
say it's not manly.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just kind of an odd way to word that, but I would say that's just like impolite.
Yeah, right. That's fair. Well, and to some degree, I wrestle with it. Like, so I have a friend, and I won't say her name, but she's a good friend of my wife and I's, and she is very uncomfortable when men cry. So like her traditional her understanding of masculinity is a little more traditional in the sense that she thinks in very limited circumstances should men cry, but when men do cry, she gets really uncomfortable. And so, what do you think about that? Like, how do you feel about she raises some good points. I agree with a lot of what she says. Although I have cried in front of her, and she gave me a pass, I guess, so it was fine. But
wait, I have to hear what is her idea? What is her perspective?
Well, I think just that like part of. I think what she would say is something along the lines of part of masculinity entails being able to hold your emotions in check a little bit better. So she wouldn't say that you need to bottle your emotions up or that you need to not feel things or share your feelings, but she would say like the extreme high or the extreme low of emotional expression to her is just not a characteristic that she would consider masculine. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like really, really over the top displays of joy, and then really, really like on the bottom end of the peak, like depictions like of crying or whatever that looks like.
Wait, really, really over the top, I just didn't process that. So if a guy was really joyful, that would make her uncomfortable.
No, having joy wouldn't make her husband is one of the most joyful guys I've ever met. But
Okay, I
I
was
think
concerned.
she would say like, not being in control of your emotions is not manly.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I think there's
It just depends on how you express
she's
them.
a
I
little more
mean,
intense about it than I am, but
I
to some
wouldn't get
degree.
like uncomfortable because,
If I just
but
started
if
crying
it,
right now.
well, I would be uncomfortable with that. I mean, if like if you're just breaking down
Yeah.
crying in like a Walmart, like because I don't know, you saw something that made you really sad, I would be
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
But if a woman did that, I would also be concerned, but it would be less concerned.
yeah, sure. Sure. And as some of
Yeah.
it's just natural, like again, I think yeah, in terms of experiencing emotion, I don't know
Yeah.
that there's I would this is where I would love to have Terry Carlson, who wrote the Journey coaching books, because I'm curious to know if the emotional range of men is like actually is it smaller than the emotional range
Oh
of women?
yeah. I've
That's
heard
the
that the
idea that I
science,
have in
yeah.
my head, but I don't know if it's scientifically true.
Um, yeah, I've read some books, and as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, that would be the case. Cause, and I mean, this is just in comparison, like with my brothers and I, my range of emotion, like in one day, I could go through so many different peaks of different types of emotions
Sure.
very rapidly at like kind of extreme levels. And my brothers don't experience that.
Sure.
So
And the
and I know in general, like that's just the
yeah,
case.
right. In the positive sense, I think that allows women to be it's what helps women to be more empathetic. Like again, not that every woman is more empathetic than every man, but on the whole,
Yeah,
right?
just in
Like
general.
women tend to be more empathetic than men. And I think you could argue generally slightly more emotionally intelligent than men,
Yeah.
so that's fair. Okay, statement 4. That was a good one. Social media is the biggest dream killer for young kids. I'm going to say disagree only because
Yeah.
of the word biggest. I'm generally not a huge fan of social media. However, I will say I think that there are bigger things that can kill dreams or ambition in children than bigger than social
What if we
media.
remove the word biggest? Social media is a dream killer for kids,
Oh,
young kids.
oh, gosh, that's tough. I mean, on one hand, it's a
I
dream
mean,
killer. On the other hand, it creates unrealistic expectations.
but on the other hand, it also could be a dream maker.
Yeah, right.
So
I don't know. Yeah,
it depends on the kid.
yeah, it depends on the kid. And this is a tough one. Like, with the initial statement, I'll say disagree. I think if I was going to try and say it depends on the kid, in my mind, the biggest dream killers would be things like having adult authority figures in your life beat you down emotionally from a young age. Like I think if a kid went to their dad and said like I want to be a doctor at a very young age, an age where they really look up to their dad and they really like need that affirmation from their dad, let's say anywhere from the like 4 to 10 range. And the dad says something like, "You're never going to be smart enough to be a doctor." I think that's a bigger dream killer than
Yeah.
anything social media could say.
Interestingly enough, I agree with you, and I also think that another big dream killer is when you over affirm your kid.
Oh yeah, right. That's kind of my problem with social media too. Like making like if gosh, it's okay when you are 15 or 10 or 12 to think I see professional athletes on social media and I'm going to be a professional athlete. Like it's totally appropriate to think that. If you're like 27 and you haven't made it yet and like social media is still telling you like and you're still like, man, I'm going to go pro. I know it. My time's coming. Like probably not. It maybe for some people, right, that are late bloomers or they get a second chance, that can happen. But if it's like detrimental to your life, like you can't hold down a job because all you want to do is practice shooting hoops because you think that you're going to go pro and
Yeah.
you're like 27.
Well, then that's so specific because it's like, is social media really telling people that?
Well, I mean, I think social media isn't affirming as much as I think it can create unrealistic expectations. I mean, even at a deeper level, like body image and things like that, it's like social media can be a dream killer because it can make you think, oh, if I can never look like that, then I should just stop trying in terms of physical health. But it can, on the flip side, make people so desirous of looking the way someone on social media looks that they will go to the lengths of like eating disorders or having plastic surgery or things like that in order to look like somebody else that they see online. So it's like, that's killing your dream because it's telling you, oh, this is achievable, when really it's not achievable. It's like that image was probably edited. So it's like, that's
It's
a
also,
type of
it's like,
affirmation.
it's an artificial dream.
Yeah,
It's like you
right.
wouldn't have that if you weren't around.
Right.
That.
Yeah, that's true too.
So you could have so many artificial dreams that's not your real meaning for
Right.
life. Fair enough.
over affirmation in anybody can create unrealistic expectations, I think.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, yeah, it's like somebody really important in your life telling you can't do something at a young age. I think that could kill dreams too. So this one is intriguing. The last one, statement 5, is intriguing to me. Children today are more socially awkward than previous generations. I think on the whole, I agree. Now, you might argue there are certain people within the population today that have more opportunities because of, the connectedness of our world and things like that to be less socially awkward. Like there are some exceptions to the rule, but I do think generally children are more socially awkward than in previous generations. And one of the things, this is not again, there's multiple factors here, but I'll give one example. The number of people my age and down that cannot make a phone call is kind of incredible to me.
Really?
As in, like, they will text or email
I hate text.
before they'll make a phone call. Like,
I'd way rather make a phone call.
Yeah,
but no.
There's a lot of people, right? Like, love my wife. She does not like talking on the phone, right? Like if we need to call the doctor's office for something, if we need to call a restaurant to see if there's a wait, if we need to call a store to see if they have something in stock, I'm making the call.
You're shading your wife.
It's okay. She would admit it. Like she would say the same,
Yeah.
right? And I don't think that my wife is socially awkward, but I think that is an indicator that the society that we're in like lacks some of the social tact that previous generations had, in part because they didn't have an opportunity to just have relationships that are purely online. They didn't have the opportunity to have relationships with that are like never face to face, and so they had to get good at doing things like talking on the phone or starting a conversation with someone new. Like I was talking to a student just this week that said something like, I feel like when I am around people, I have to be energetic. And it's like, well, why do you feel that? And she's like, because all the other people my age, like if you're not energetic, they'll just kind of like sit there on their phones and just like not look at you or talk to you. And she's like, so I have to be engaging in order to pull people in. Now, I'm not saying that makes her socially awkward. That's
actually very socially like
aware. Yeah. Now it's to a level where it's like bothering her, harming her a bit. So we're going to work on that. But to her point, it's like, if there's not somebody driving the conversation for her peers, they'll just stop having conversation. They just won't interact with each other.
I've actually experienced that before, that exact same thing.
Yeah.
I think I had, and that's something I had to like tune out of, because as an introvert, like I would just leave situations just drained.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would agree. Actually, I've had a lot of experiences where if you're not energetic, if you're not like constantly going on to the next thing, then people just lose interest.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like, the classic movie scene of like a kid who moves to a new school and they're at high school or middle school and they walk into the lunchroom and they don't know where to sit. That's been a thing for generations. It's not like social awkwardness is a new phenomenon. I just think across the board it exists more now than it did before. Even in the sense that like I feel, I struggled my freshman year of college because I just like had a hard time. I mean, I had a lot of friends. I had a hard time developing the kind of relationships that helped me feel like myself or like feel comfortable. And some of that just comes down to like social awkwardness or like not having the capacity or feeling like I had the capacity to really drive those things forward. So
Yeah.
well, so tell us what you think, leave a comment or send us a message on journeycoaching.org. What do you think about all conflicts have positive takeaways, can have positive takeaways? There's a limit to how many healthy relationships you can have. Men shouldn't share their feelings if they want to be considered manly. Social media is the biggest dream killer for young kids. And then children today are more socially awkward than previous generations. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. But if you got nothing else, I think we'll wrap.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next time and make sure you like and subscribe. Visit us at journeycoaching.org and check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Start your own journey at journeycoaching.org.
Your life, your journey starts now.